Now, I kind of felt bad when I said you got to work harder at being a servant a little bit in the last video, but not entirely. We have this idea of servitude as being something that you don't get paid for, you're underpaid for, and you're doing it as a work of charity. And I personally don't see servanthood that way. I know some people do. Over the years of serving in Christian ministry from a Christian perspective, let me say it that way. Because Christian ministry, I mean, those are really archaic words I feel like I have to break down when I say them. Because I don't think my kids, my grandkids understand what Christian ministry is. I don't think people my age understand what Christian ministry is. It's service done from a Christian perspective. It does not mean doing it for free. Unfortunately, a lot of people who call themselves Christians want it done for free or near free. And they still think it's a privilege when you do it for them. For free. Because they're not concerned about your well-being. They're concerned about their project. And they miss out on the relationships that are built by not having that attitude. Because they grew up with a poverty slave mentality. So they think the only way that they can do it well is to get it for damn near free from the people who believe as they believe. Not thinking that this person has to take care of themselves as well. I speak from my perspective of dealing with these people over a period of time. And I've been very gracious and merciful in dealing with some of these people over a period of time. And I almost feel like a spy going in and sitting there for about 20 years watching them as they do their work. And I realize a lot of them don't even realize in a lot of cases that they're causing damage to the people that they're getting their work from. And they don't honestly think about it. It's not that they don't care. That's just the way they've been raised to think. Let me get it for as cheap as possible, even though I know getting it for as cheap as possible is attached to a life. And if they don't do it exactly the way I want them to do it, then it's really their fault. When you don't pay them enough to do it at the level of quality you want them to do it at. Yet you have these demands on these people. And in a lot of cases, you don't pay them anything. You treat them as though they're doing you a favor. What a lousy perspective. Christians need to get delivered from themselves. That's the reason why I said what I said on the last video. Service is not, because again, I'm approaching it from more than a couple of perspectives there. From the perspective of the person giving their time, their talent, in a lot of cases, even doing the work, giving you money for you and your vision. And then there's the person receiving the time, the talent, and the treasure. And there's the perspective of God, of you doing it just flat out wrong. I find it interesting that people don't see it more like, oh, you did that, excellent, let me give you extra in the Christian community. No, let's get it for as cheap as possible. I remember working for this one guy and I was charging him a couple $100 for a flyer. And I gotta be careful because I don't mean any harm. These are just principles. He went to a student and got the work done for half the money that I paid. But he doesn't understand that $200 fed me and paid a phone bill. He didn't, and honestly, he didn't care. All he cared about was getting it for as cheap as possible. He didn't care about the relationship. It's just his mindset. He didn't, and it's not that he meant anything against me. He just didn't care. He wasn't thinking about that. That's the point. There's no unity. Let's sell each other out for as cheap as possible. That's addressed here in Joshua chapter 4. Was it 4 or 5? Oh, yeah. Achan sin. That's 6 and 7, I think. But that's addressed here in Joshua. I'm not telling you these things so that you can be nasty towards other people who don't have a perspective that you have, which is doing things based upon the kingdom principles of God. What I am explaining to you is that everyone doesn't have this way of looking at things, which is to give your best towards everyone, whether you're receiving or giving. Give your best. Don't try to cheap everything out. If you get the right people around you and you treat them fairly well, you might find that you'll get more than you give. Because it's more blessed to give than receive. Is that an actual scripture? Because I hear people quote it all the time. I quote it sometimes. It's more blessed to give than receive. Better to give than receive. Better to give. Well, you know, I do this on purpose sometimes. Better to give than receive. We'll find out in a second. I think the challenge, or part of these challenges, is having a mindset where you're not trying to get over on everybody. Unity takes having a central focus, which in this case, which I'm trying to teach to those of you that call me a teacher, my sons and my daughters, my grandsons, and my brothers and sisters around the world. This isn't for everybody. It isn't. I wish it was. But it isn't for everybody. But who I am hoping is for are people who are interested in being kingdom minded. If you want to do anything of a great exception, you have to have unity. Without unity, you're going to be at best average, never exceptional. You can do nothing without a solid team of people. Without that solid team of people, you can't multiply. So therefore, you're doing it on your own. I remember talking to this one particular person recently who has a team of people. I know some of them, most of them, from one perspective. And this particular person said to me, I'm doing it on my own. And as soon as that was stated, I knew that I was discounted and everyone else in this particular person's life was also discounted. They just didn't see that they had a team of people with a variety of skills. And very little unity. Because there's very little trust. And that's a long enough introduction. When the priests set their feet in the Jordan, they had to trust that what Joshua was saying was true. When the people crossed over, they had to trust Joshua and the priests that when they were crossing over, they wouldn't be overtaken by the river. Now, they had a couple of advantages here. They had more than a couple of advantages. They had a lot of advantages. Number one was history. They had been delivered, their tribe, because these are the kids. These are not the originals from the Red Sea. But they had heard the stories. It had been passed down through antiquity. That they had been delivered before. They had gone through this before. They were delivered from Egypt before. These people grew up, for the most part, these people grew up in the travel. So they grew up trusting Moses. They grew up trusting Joshua. Joshua had credibility. He was there. When Moses passed on, he was there. He had credibility. They had seen the miracles coming that happened in Moses' life. They started to see the miracles in Joshua's life. Joshua had a covenant with God. He was there. The leadership respected him. The tribes of Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh had made a pact. Said they got him. Not the original Reuben, not the original Gad. These were the children of the originators. This was deeply seated trust and unity going on here to get to something that had been promised to the forefathers and to the ancestors. To the elders, and so it goes with Joshua, son of Joseph, who had delivered Egypt from poverty. Deeply rooted history here. Unfortunately, in today's society here in America, the adopted nature into the Christian community does not tend to yield a lot of trust and deeply rooted history. Now you have people who claim it, who read it, but don't believe it, don't live it. They don't want to be hurt because they've been hurt in the past, even though everybody's been hurt. Like none of us literally are different there. We've all been hurt. Like that doesn't mean anything. It has zero value. It has zero value. I have hurt people not trying to, and people have hurt me not trying to. Forgive them and move on with your lives. You cannot succeed in this kingdom without unity. That's why I'm putting such an emphasis on it. I can't roll much deeper than the people I can roll with. To the degree where I would have to get outside of my neighborhood, which would take funding, and find those people who don't know much about me at all, and then put on the whole brave face thing and act like I'm less than I am and be, whatever. I would have to play a game. It's the way it works in the world. I did sales for many years. You would have to start selling, or we can all get over ourselves in our community and start trusting and believing in one another. And stop playing the game. And get out of that poverty mindset that causes you to go to another community and commit there and not commit to your own community. These guys committed to one another. In Joshua chapter 4, it came to pass, verse 1, it came to pass when all the people were clean passed over Jordan, that the Lord spake unto Joshua, saying, take you 12 men out of the people, 12. Can you imagine me going down to the city and here in my particular town, or you going down to your city, say, God has told me to take 12 men out of every tribe here. And I'm thinking about Ghana because, you guys have the tribes, and even Kenya. And command them. Can you imagine commanding them? All the egos. Saying, take ye hence out of the midst of Jordan, out of the place where the priest's feet stood firm, 12 stones. There's so much there, and I probably won't have time to go over it all. And ye shall carry them over with you and leave them in the lodging place where you shall lodge this night. Then Joshua called the 12 men whom he had prepared of the children of Israel out of every tribe. And Joshua said unto them, pass over before the ark of the Lord your God into the midst of Jordan, and take you up every man of you a stone upon his shoulder. Not little rocks. Stones. Stones are good for memorial. Stones are a product of history. It could be said, you 12 tribes take up your history. Up to this point. It's the reason why I had to be one of every tribe. Bring your history with you. Set up a memorial. Verse 6, that this may be a sign among you when your children ask in time to come, saying, what by these stones? History, baby. History. Let me tell you what happened. In the Jewish tradition, this is called the mitzvah. In the African American community, we've been taught that it's gossip. Sad. It's not gossip. It's testimony. It's history. Set up your stones. This is my stone for my kids, my grandkids, my brothers and sisters. What are your stones? Then you shall answer, verse 7, that the waters of the Jordan were cut off before the ark of the covenant of the Lord when it passed over the Jordan. History, baby. History. This is how God delivered us. Brought us from one side of the Jordan to the other side of the Jordan into the promised land. Let me share with you how I became successful in working with the other 11 tribes over generations. Led by Joshua, and at one point led by Moses. And at one point led by, you get it? Isaac, Jacob, well, Jacob and Isaac, if you want to be, but that's not the point. You understand what I'm saying? This unity is what creates a successful bloodline demonstrating unity with other facets of our unified tribe of Israel, which has 12 defined tribes within it, all in need of each other's history. Working together. And the children of Israel did so as Joshua commanded and took up 12 stones, in verse 8. Verse 9, and Joshua set up the 12 stones in the midst of the Jordan in the place where the feet of the priests were, which bear the ark of the covenant stood, and they are there unto this day. Now, that's that 12 stones. There's another set of 12 stones as well. that's legacy. Verse 10, the priests which bare the ark stood in the midst of the Jordan until everything was finished. I don't know if the Christian pastors heard that. Or maybe even understood it. At least the way I understand it. At least the way I understood it. Let me jump over to Joshua chapter 4. Just to show you this before we leave. In Joshua chapter 4, verse 20, it says, and those 12 stones which they took out of Jordan did Joshua pitch in Gilgal. Wait a minute, they left them in the midst of the water, and they pitched another 12 at Gilgal. He, in verse 21, and he spake unto the children of Israel, saying, when your children shall ask their fathers in time to come, saying, what these stones? Then ye shall let your children know, saying, Israel came over this Jordan on dry land. Unity. This is a demonstration of unity, testimony, the power of the spoken and written word, the power of the Spirit of God working together within the collective group of people who call themselves today Christians. Thank you for taking this journey with us as we explore the kingdom of God and usher in the kingdom of heaven. If this is a blessing to you, please like and share them with people that you know, Bible studies, friends, families, what have you. And thank you as we usher in the kingdom of heaven.